All right. Well, welcome. It is, can you believe it, we're the 29th of May already. My name is Keith Hooper. Obviously, I'm not Mary Day. Okay. Mary Day is taking care of some family business, and that is wonderful. She asked me to step in here and be the great honor to introduce our speakers for today. For those of you that don't know, I've been with Immunotech since day one. My name is Keith Hooper. I'm here in Central California. It's kind of interesting. The company started in Montreal, Canada, and I got the very first product ever shipped by Immunotech Research to anyone. My wife and I have been on it longer than anyone else. Okay, so we know the value of this product and we know what it does. And from that experience, we've had the opportunity to meet some really wonderful people over the years. And one of those happens to be our speaker here tonight that's going to be sharing some information is our good friend, Don Hutchinson. Those of you who may not know Don is a legend, literally, in the network marketing world. He lives both in Spain and in Ireland. And his wife, Pam, is obviously his much, much better half. And so we know Don is a great salesman because he sold Pam on the idea that he was the one she was looking for. Don, great to have you with us.
Well, thank you very much, Keith. Really appreciate your introduction. Appreciate being here tonight. And of course, as ever, you say the truth, you know. Although someone put it the other way to me, they said, you've got better taste than your wife. Right? So think about that one for a while. So hi, folks. We're going to dive straight in. And I thought I'd start off by just telling my story because it's interesting how different people get involved in an opportunity and in a product. And we can take things out of, and I'm going to be bouncing with Keith actually on a couple of points because there's some things we talked about way back and more recently that are very, very relevant to us both. But a quick word of thanks to start with, and that's to my good lady Pam, who's been with me now for 49 years, married, over 50 years together. And to my mom. And also I'd like to say thanks to my good friend Peter, who actually told me about this unique way of marketing 40 plus years ago. And I just like to acknowledge him for that. And also like to acknowledge Aveline. I don't know if Aveline from Edmonton, Canada is on the line tonight, but she sponsored me 40 years ago into a different company. And that changed our life and what we did with that and the help that came from her. And it was my honor 10 years ago to do the reverse and tell her about Immunotech and to sponsor Aveline into Immunotech. So thanks to everybody who's contributed to all these calls because this is a team effort, guys. We're individual entrepreneurs, but it's a team effort, TEAM. And with that said, to let you know how I became involved, I was retired 10 years ago. I know I look far too young to be retired, but I was retired. The family was retired. We were playing, having adventures, traveling around Europe. And out of the blue, I got a message from a friend. How many times is that how we get people into the business? Okay. Talk to people you know. Talk to people you have a connection with. And I had a very tenuous connection with a man called John Solider, you may have heard of, from Texas. And I got a message from John saying, would you like to be part of the global expansion of the #1 immune product in the world? That was the message. It was in text format, right? And I sent him back and said, no, thanks. Ever had anyone say no to you? So I thought John's response was beautiful. He just responded with one word. Okay. So he took the pressure off straight away. And then he sent me another message, said, okay, maybe it's not for you. So that takes the pressure off. He said, maybe it's not for you. Maybe the timing's not right for you. However, would you do two things for yourself and your family? #1, would you at least research it? Take some time when you can and research it. And I said, yeah, well, what's #2? He said, get back to me. Let's have a conversation. And if it's no, definitely not for me, okay, no problem. You've done the work, you've looked at it, and you've checked it out. If it's yes, then we'll go ahead. And if it's a maybe, I'll answer whatever questions you have. Is that fair? I said, yeah, that's fair. I'm going to be busy with the family the next 2 or 3 weeks, but I will get back to you. So I started from a position of having been in network marketing before, what Peter told me was called MLM over 40 years ago. And understanding the concept and understanding the importance of testimonials in getting the message across to people about what the product and the opportunity could do for them, whatever their wishes were. So I looked at this and made a conscious decision not to look at the testimonials, which is kind of unusual because one of the things I tend to lead with people is, tell them what this product does, what it can do for you and the people that you come in contact with, and look what happened to this person and that person in the sense of testimonials. But I said, no, I'm putting my blinkers on here. I'm not going to, with testimonials, if the company's terrible and the product's terrible, they can manufacture them. It's a real cynic's viewpoint, but I thought, no, I've seen the industry. It's a tremendous industry, but there are one or two people that are, exaggerating the truth. So let me see what this product is. And like Keith, in a similar way, he didn't have any testimonials when he first saw this because the company wasn't even started that yet. But he did have some information that was very serious information from a health viewpoint and from a business viewpoint. And Keith has mentioned those before, the fact that this product had been developed and was safe to use for everybody, the fact that in the lab trials that it showed an increase in lifespan from 30 to 50% in the animal studies, the fact that it had a patent for the prevention or treatment of cancer, right? And so I started looking into these, and John sent me links to articles. 2 days I researched this. On the second day, I said to Pam, I said, we've got to look at this seriously. And I started to look at testimonials. And that's really when I went from we have to look at this seriously to we have to do this, okay? We have to do this. Because it was overwhelming. All the background was there. At that stage, how many years was it? 30 odd years of research at that point when I first looked at this. Indisputable research from the highest levels, most prestigious levels, undeniable from any fraternity, medical, health, or otherwise. And then when I looked at testimonials, I thought, wow, this is not just on paper, this is really genuinely changing people's lives for the better. I want it, Pam wants it, I'm going to get my friends using this, and we're going to talk to them about it. Okay? Now, so there's a couple of pointers you can take out of that when you speak to people. Okay, first off is if they say no, it doesn't mean they're not going to get started. Right? It could be the timing is not right. It could be they don't have the correct information yet. Right? It could be any number of things. So keep them on your list of prospects. What really got me, and Keith and I were talking about this recently, one of the testimonials I saw really hit home. Keith mentioned to me the other day, you need to have a mission. What's your driving force? What is it that pushes you to do this, to talk to people, to get encouraged? Is it financial security for you and your family forever? Is it a personal family member who really needs help health-wise, right? Or what is it that's doing it? And what got me was, she's a well-known in southern part of the United States gospel singer called Barbara Fairchild. And she was talking about what had happened to her mother. And I tell you what, the first 2 days of research was up here. When I got these testimonials, and especially Barbara's, it came from here. Because my mom, unfortunately, had a long drawn-out death. She had unusually combination of diagnosed Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. So for 7 years, she was on a really, really downhill slope. The last year or two, she really didn't know. We didn't know if she knew us. That's the thing. And Barbara talked about what had happened to her mother. And when I saw that, I said, that's it. We will spread this message around. The other thing that John talked about was timing. And this is really important too, because there are two aspects to the timing. The timing in the person's life that you're speaking to, very important, and the timing in the marketplace from the viewpoint of making a proposal, a business proposal. And here we are right now at a perfect spot. It's only going to be a short while until this company has been marketing this product for what? 40 years? Is that right? 1997 was the first shipment, January, I think. It's going to be 40 years, okay, of taking this product to the marketplace. The first big chunk of that time was basically Canada and the United States, then much later Mexico, then South America. Now Europe is opening, and after that, goodness knows what. So the timing here is perfect. a lot of times when you're speaking to people about opportunity, they say one of three things in terms of timing. It's too early. Is that company going to be around? Am I going to stake my reputation, that of my friends, on something that's too new? That doesn't apply here. Okay. The second point is, how long has it been around? Is there any growth left? Is there any chance for building momentum, for taking it further, for building a new team? And the answer here is yes, of course. And the third is, with all of that given, what support is there? And here we have support. It's incredible. Again, Keith and I talk quite a bit. I don't know why, Keith, but we do. We talk quite a bit. And one of the things he was saying was the amount of help and support you have, it would be virtually impossible to buy in the marketplace. The expertise, the experience, the helpfulness of your upline, of people that are not in upline. If you ask them to do a three-way call on Zoom, if you ask them to speak to a prospect for you, you probably couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford to pay Keith his rates, okay, for an hourly consultation. But yet here we have a team that is not only able, but very willing to help other people. Let me give you two quick examples here. One was, I'll give you the second one first. Well, one was, I have to say, a nod out to Patricia, if she's there from Canada, who was great help in me getting a customer to really get using the product. And the second is to Kelvin Abron. And I have a good friend who 4 years ago, his daughter, his name's Mike, his daughter said, look, Dad, you're 78, you need to get a mobility scooter. You know, they're talking about the little electric scooters to get around because you're unsteady on your legs. You have prostate cancer. You have COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary, really bad with asbestosis with his lungs. And, you're going to fall and, do yourself a. So we bought a mobility scooter, cost him £2,500 UK. Okay. Told Mike about Immunocal and got him some testimonials, some information. He did the research. He said, well, I'll give it a try. Okay. So he started with Platinum. And could I keep him from using it to use it every day? No. And it's like Keith has always often said also, we joke about it. He says, my friends never listen to me. I said, well, it's just you, Keith, but it's the truth. Your friends don't normally listen to you in business as much as hearing it from a third party endorsement. So Keith put me in touch with Kelvin, who's not in my group at all, not in my upline at all, okay, no financial interest. And thanks to Keith for that. And I asked Kelvin, would you be willing to do a Zoom call with Mike? And asked Mike if he would do. So here's what we did. Got the three of us on a Zoom call. I introduced Mike, told Kelvin what the issue was, introduced Kelvin to Mike, told Mike what had happened to Kelvin in a couple of words, which you might think is odd because I'm going like this at the moment, right? And then I shut up and I let those two talk. Now, up until then, I couldn't persuade Mike to continue taking Immunocal Platinum on a daily basis. He would take it for a week, then he'd get a lung infection, he'd go to hospital, he'd be taking antibiotics and steroids, and I'd be on the phone with him saying, how you doing? He said, not good, cough, cough, not good. I said, you're still taking the Platinum? He said, no, I had to go off that because I'm on the medication. I said, Keith, come on, get it clear. You've got so much medication in your body, you need to be on this right now. Whatever we go back about 30 years, Mike and I. Whatever I said to him, I couldn't persuade him. After that call with Kelvin, who he'd never met before, okay, after that call, he started taking between 6 and 8 packs of Platinum per day, okay. He dropped it back to 6 packs, and he's now on 3 to 4 packs a day on auto ship 4 years later. Now, here's the kicker. He rang Pam and I on Christmas time. And what a Christmas present this phone call was. He said, Don, you know my prostate cancer? I said, yeah. He said, it's gone. I said, what do you mean it's gone? He said, it's gone. Officially, it's gone. I said, Mike, how long since you've had an attack, a chest attack? He said, it's been over a year. They said, and he was laughing. He said, you know what, that mobility scooter that I bought 4 years ago, I've never used it. It's in the boot of the car. In America, you'd say the trunk of the car. I said, you're driving a car? He said, yeah, I'm 82 years of age. I'm feeling great. I went out and bought a vintage convertible Mercedes soft top, and the mobility scooter's been in the boot ever since. I'm not using it, right? Now, if I had relied upon my salesmanship ability or lack of it, or my persistence, or if I'd given up, he wouldn't be in that position today. But by involving someone from the team, and big thanks to Kelvin and to Keith for putting me in touch with him, then that happened. And there are lots and lots of stories. Maybe you guys have already utilized this. So there's a team of people here, and I would really emphasize those things. Coming from my story, know who you're speaking to, give them space, be strong about this, find out what they're looking for, give them the opportunity to do it, and follow up with them, and continue to follow up with them. And the non-pressure way to do that is by asking them. I love having a conversation where the person asks you, you tell them something and they say, what's that all about? Okay? You tell me, they're coming to you. So once you've given them the information and they're not making their mind up for whatever reason, here's what I would say. You use your own words. I said, listen, that's okay. I know time might not be right for you, or you might need more information, whatever. That's okay. You're not saying no, that's okay. Would it be okay if I kept in touch with you on this? They say yes. There's an open door for you to keep in touch with them via whatever means it be, WhatsApp message, a call, an email. Okay. The other thing is this: in this business, we have got golds and we got diamonds. Now, it's rare for you to walk out and find gold lying on the back garden. Very rare to find diamonds strewn across the back garden. Very rare to find a pool of oil unless your heating system is broken down on your back garden, right? But you know how you find oil? You drill. You drill deep. And in this business, that's what we need to do, is not only talk to people we know, but to ask that question, hey, who do you know? Now you can add your own things onto the end of that, depending on your own style or the person you're speaking to. Who do you know that would like better health? Who do you know would like to live a bit longer, healthier? Who do you know would like to have a secondary income? Who do you know? Now, I like to take it a step further, particularly whenever we hear about these countries opening up, because I find out I don't like to get a no answer, really, because they're missing out. So instead of saying, who do you know? I say, who do you know that might know somebody in Germany, France, Spain, United States? Because I don't. And tell you what, we've got this product. We really need some help. There's a huge demand for it. We need all the help we can get. It's changing people's lives. So who might you know that might know somebody that would have a connection, either with health or country or income? Does that make sense? Okay, so that's that's what I've got to say. How I got started, and a lot of the people involved are not first level to me. You know, they're in that drilling for oil, and they're still still using the product, still talking to people. And Keith, I'd like to give you the opportunity to tell the facts on this, because you did them 2 weeks ago, but I embarrassed talking about that. We have the best product in the world, period. There's nothing like this. And there will never be anything like it because of the patents on the process, the manufacturing, all of that stuff. This is an incredible opportunity because of that for the product. In terms of the business, it's not the person that you're speaking to that's necessarily going to light the fire. It's who they know that might know somebody. And Keith told the story 2 weeks ago of, and I haven't got the facts to my mind, but it must have gone maybe 10 connections, or if you're talking drilling for oil, 10 or 11 connections deep. Person told a person, told a person, mentioned to a person who said no, but try and talk to my Aunt Cecily, someone went to somebody else, and And Keith, you can maybe jump in here if you want to unmute yourself and tell what happened at the end of that chain of going from person to person to person. It's a very powerful story for us to pursue, not just from the person we are speaking to, but to actively go on to ask them, who do they know? Whether they've said yes, no, or maybe, who do you know that might know somebody that's ...
Yeah, I think, Don, what you're speaking of is the fact that, there was a young a couple that were starting a life together, and they were married, and they were going to have their first child. And Dina developed very bad morning sickness, and because of that morning sickness, she went to the doctor. She was losing weight. She couldn't keep anything down. And the doctor said, we're going to terminate the pregnancy. And they scheduled it for the following week. She left that meeting and called her mother, who immediately drove a couple of hours to take her Immunical. And within a matter of a couple of days, all of the morning sickness was gone. And, you know, the good news of that is the little boy is now 20 years old. He's here 20 years. Everybody says, oh, what a wonderful thing. Immunical is such a miracle. Well, if I hadn't have told my friend, who told John, who told Wally, who told somebody else, who told somebody else, who told somebody else, I mean, we're back, who ended up telling a guy who was doing a farmer's market, and Pat Lawrence, the grandmother, happened to be at a farmer's market, and she was in her health. She picked up the information about Immunical. She joined Immunical because of that. If none of that business had occurred, Dina would never have had the blessing of Immunical and the blessing of that little boy, Don. But it was not just the power of the product. You have to have the delivery system. And I think that's what you're speaking of.
Exactly. And that was the motivation to speak to people about a secondary income, or, you know, in some cases, a single income, right? That's true. And keep in mind too, be alert for opportunity. We don't know. I went into a state agent's office today for some paperwork, and there's a girl there I never seen before. I said hi. I haven't seen you before. She said, no, I'm quite new. I'm only here, you know, short time. Oh, I said, great. My name's Don. What's your name? She said, Joan. I said, hi, Joan. How are you? Great. What did you do before this? She said, oh, I was in the National Health Service here. Oh, okay. You've left that, obviously. Is that good news or bad news? She said, well, it's both. It burned me out. You know, I was there for 40 years. And the last 20 years, I was in cancer care. I said, wow, that's a tough job, a real tough job. And I didn't jump down on her desk and say, we got to do this. That's going to help you, right? I didn't go do that, but I got a conversation going, got a little bit of a relationship with her. I'm going to call in tomorrow to get another photocopy, obviously, and drop some information to her on the second meeting. So we got a conversation going about cancer. I said, the thing is, I have it. I've been in cancer care for 20 years, and I have it. Now, I said, that's really tough. And I didn't immediately tell her about Mike and his prostate cancer, or, you know, Judy and her ovarian cancer going away after a year, just over a year. But I said, well, I'm really sorry to hear that, but there's all kinds of things to do. She said, that's my attitude. I'm living life. I'm open to life. And, you know, I'm living it, and I'm taking treatments. And that's good for you. Good for you. That's great. She said, yeah, I went to a lecture when I first moved from general healthcare into cancer 20 years ago. And the lecturer said, now listen, it's important you understand this. 1 in 5 people that's born today will suffer from some form of cancer. She said, well, I left 18 months ago. It's 1 in 2 people will suffer from some kind of cancer. Now, I don't want to focus exclusively on that particular topic, but the point is, be open to opportunity. You know, be open to opportunity wherever it takes you. David, who again is not first generation to me. I think everybody I sponsor just doesn't listen to me, right? Must be the people. I don't know why it goes second, third, fourth level or whatever. But he likes asking people, and his wife as well. Really good prospecting. They like asking people what's wrong with them, because everybody's got something wrong. They're either short of funds, insecure for the future, feeling bad, member of their family's not well. They said, you get them talking about that, you've got a conversation and you're developing. Now, here's another important, I think, that really, really works. That's a very important thing, is to have an answer ready. Because when people come to you verbally and say, well, what is this thing you're talking about? You need to have the answer to those 3 words. What is it? But if you've done your job right, you've got the conversation going, that person's going to say, well, what is it? What is this you're telling me about, Now, that answer is going to be different for every single one of us in this call because we're all individuals, we're going to put it our own way, and it will be tailored to the person you're speaking to as well. But work on that. Just work on that. What's my answer going to be when someone says, well, what is this? Can I caution you? Would you mind me doing that? It depends. If it's a medical specialist who's got half an hour to spend and they're really interested in glutathione, then you might want to go down that route. But in general, okay, keep it simple. Don't get into all the complex issues because this time it took me 2 days to do the initial research personally and give people time and space and ask them if you can keep in touch with them. And finally, on timing, I think, we're only beginning, really. It's a cliche. It's a cliche. People say that nearly in every opportunity, but it's true when you look at the volumes that are occurring today, the growth that's occurring today, and the companies that are out there in the marketplace. I'm not detracting from them by saying that, but they don't have this product. They don't have this history. They don't have this research. They don't have this future, and they're doing billions. And we're just beginning. We're beginning. From a financial viewpoint, this is something that anyone with business head would be looking at. The territorial expansion and the expansion of the customer base with a product that nobody else has, period. And nobody else will have. So I'm open to bounce back to you, Keith. I'm just riffing here. I have no specific script to stick to, just chatting,
But, Don, I mean, it's great wisdom. Glad you're here. People are going to want you to come back and share some more. Okay.
I'm going to have to send you the invoice, okay?
Yeah, please do. Let me give you that address. Okay. What you should do is wait till after the call and I'll give you the address to send the invoice.
Yeah.
So, but once again, Don, final thought on this before you go. We talk about the uplines. And one of the things that really made a difference in my business was the idea of know who your 3 or 4 or 5 uplines are. The recommendation was made, call them, find out who they are, call them, interview them, find out what their story is, so that when you're talking with that person and need to know that you need to do that 3-way call with or that Zoom, you have somebody to tap into. Because not everybody's got a different story, right?
Yes, really important to know who's in your team, who's in your upline, and the calls. And Keith has been doing calls now since nearly day one, which is outstanding. And I've learned so much from those calls and the testimonials and the individuals, and get to know them, because we can, we can do 3-way calls with anybody who's happening. And I haven't come across anyone that said no. You're not in my dialogue. I'm not going to, I haven't come across that with Immunotec at all. So yeah, get to know who's in your upline, get to know people's strengths, particular stories, like I did with Mike and Calvin, and let them see that this is a bigger picture. It's not just you.
Well, speaking of bigger pictures, Don, you want to introduce our next our friend here, Jeffrey McTavish?
I'd be absolutely delighted to. And just gentlemen, I didn't know until I became a Immunotec distributor and spoke to a good friend of mine, Paul, who introduced me to Dr. Jeffrey. Again, not first level, okay, right? It wasn't. He's a second generation. So I got to know Jeffrey, and Jeffrey and I spoke at length. My gosh, is it 9 years ago now, something like that? And is that right, Jeffrey?
Yeah,
I think it's 9 years, right? And the more,
February. Yeah,
yeah, it was February 2015, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Looking good. I've got to get myself some of those glasses. I really do, to protect my eyes. I look cool as well. But so Jeffrey, or Dr. Jeffrey, I should say, is not only a qualified chiropractor and naturopath, but has spent most of his life, Jeffrey, I think, in the health industry and looking at various aspects of the health industry. What was interesting, so many things about Jeffrey are interesting. His depth of knowledge, his ability, his communication skills, his willingness to share are all legendary. And what struck me when I first got talking with him was not just his personality and his amenability and his professionalism, but the fact that he told me this, hang on, I'm Canadian, and
Part-time.
correct, and I haven't heard of this company. I haven't heard of this product that does this to glutathione. What's going on? Why haven't I heard? You know? And I tie that up with just something I wanted to say was I quite often joke with John Solider, say, John, why didn't you let me know about this earlier? You know, told me years back instead of, just 2014. So Jeffrey runs a very successful clinic. He travels internationally as clients and patients internationally and has studied extensively on not just nutrition, but wider aspects of health in general, longevity, mental health, physical health. And as I said before, he's one of the most qualified people I know. He may not have 5,000 letters after his name. He has got quite a few after his name, but he's got that wealth of knowledge from study, research, and professional application in the field, and always being open to learning. I think that's a key, Jeffrey, isn't it? Always being open to develop your knowledge of the subject, no matter how much you have, right?
Don, every day we're learning. And just this past Tuesday, I had to go to a physiotherapist in Chichester. So it's another town not far from me. I need to have an aspiration of a Baker cyst, so a draining of a Baker cyst in the back of my right knee, because I've got an old joint in my knee from 45 years of running.
Mm.
And I told him about all this stuff that he could put into his clinic. And he goes, "Do you know what? Every day is a learning day." I said, "Yeah, I could learn from you. You could learn from me." So it's really quite cool that we did that, and acknowledge that. And I want to get back to something that's really quite critical, where you say something about teamwork. And you had said something at the very beginning when we were starting with pre-launch pioneers is team means together, everybody achieves more. And that has stuck with me right from day one. And it can be in this business, in any business. It doesn't matter where it is. That acronym is so powerful because if you've got a goal and you've got a mission and you've got a drive, you're going to achieve it and you're going to create that excitement with everybody within that goal and that drive to come up with your purpose of what you're doing with this particular product or business or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. I am passionate about this product because I've seen what it's done for people, like you have said, Don, with some of the people and Keith and everybody on this call. We've all had people who've experienced great things, but I can go into the science of stuff, but the science turns people off because they go, oh, that's just way too much over my head. I don't want to understand it. So people buy the sizzle, not the steak. And that was always taught to me by Dale Carnegie at a sales course when I did that in a former life back in Canada. And so people want to hear results. And I think, Don, you were talking about everybody talks. Well, I do thermal imaging in Ireland, both in Dublin and Belfast, and I don't advertise. But people go, oh, your man over there, he's coming over from Worthing, and he's coming up, and he's going to be doing some breast screening. You might go hear him, go see him, go take your husband as well. And so I get busy just because people do this. And I haven't said anything except just brochures and a few people talking. And it's the same with this business. If you get a result, people are going to talk naturally and absolutely. And if you can have a little bit of information in the background about why it works, that's great. So what I'd like to do, Keith, is I want to share the screen with Miriam. And now Miriam, I'm going to introduce Miriam coming on. Hopefully she's able to come on and be able to, oh, there you are, Miriam. Great. Miriam is a nutritionist and a medium, a psychic medium, and she's, well, when we were together, we shared a lot of information that I came across, and she sort of absorbed that into her studies when she was going through nutrition courses and being a naturopath. And I want to bring her on because she's got not only her own true story about how it impacted her when I first met her. I said, you got to get on this product, but also how she shared it and how that she can see it from a nutritional point of view, how it can get into everybody's lives and improve their health. So if we could have that screen share, Keith, that would be great. Miriam, you need to unmute.
Can you hear me now? Hello,
Yeah,
everyone.
we know.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to see everyone. Can you see me, hear me?
Yep.
Brilliant. Oh, yes, yes, basically my journey with Immunotech started many years ago. I think it's 2019 or 2018 it was.
2018, yeah.
Yes, when I met Jeffrey for the very first time. And sadly, I had an epileptic seizure back in 2016 it was, Boxing Day, yeah, Christmas basically. I worked in the ambulance service for the emergency service in London. I loved my job, was super busy. I had this seizure on Boxing Day morning and it completely changed my life forever. I was not able to access my brain capacity to the same level after that. I suffered from loads of brain fog for about a good 6 months to a year because of the levels of toxicity in my system, heavy metals and other toxins, environmental toxicity as well. So my liver pathway, especially liver pathway 2, was really, really overloaded with toxins and wasn't doing a very good job. So all the toxins that were supposed to be detoxified ended up in my brain, creating a seizure. And obviously when I met Jeffrey, my journey as a naturopath really began. I was always interested in natural health and I've always been researching. I've always been living a very, very healthy lifestyle with exercise and eating the right nutrition. But the real journey started really with Immunotech and ImmunoCow. It was a really big game changer for me. I was hugely impressed by it because you can eat the best foods under the sun. You can eat all the vegetables, but they're all sprayed with pesticides and you can really eat an amazing diet. But if your liver detoxification pathway is not functioning properly, we have a problem. and that's exactly what happened. My liver was overburdened at the time, and ImmunoCal, as it increases the glutathione production within your liver, supported this liver pathway. And within, a matter of 2 weeks of taking it every single day, so I started taking 2 sachets a day, in the morning, I think, and in the afternoon, in the evening, twice actually. 2 sachets in the morning, 2 sachets in the evening. And within 2 weeks, I noticed a huge change in my energy levels. I used to be very, very fatigued after the seizure. For a long time, I wasn't able to focus. There was this brain fog. I was very sad. It was very low, depleted. I just didn't feel right. And the ImmunoCal made a huge difference within the way how I felt. My energy levels increased. My skin improved. In fact, I ran a business at that time already. I've been a business owner for the last 13 years. And my clients commented on the way I looked and how I felt and how I came across. They'd be like, oh, you look so different. You're glowing. Your skin looks amazing. You're much more energized and you appear differently. You've got a lot more energy than usual. It was different. Something changed. And then obviously I started talking about the new product that I was taking. I was really, really skeptical at the beginning. I like science as well. And I like the proof in the pudding. And it does take a lot for me to be convinced. And, we try loads of different things. And at the beginning of taking it, I was not 100% convinced because it was another network or, marketing situation at the stage. But I thought I'd give it a go. And I try and let's see what happens. But when I started taking it after, the first 2 weeks already, I noticed this huge change in my skin, energy, and my sleep also improved instantly. That was another big, big, big bonus of the product. And then obviously I kept taking it. My hair got thicker. I started to look shinier. Obviously everything started being, everything was benefiting. And then obviously I started sharing my experience and then people got really interested in the product and everything happened very, very quickly. And before I knew it, I registered loads of different people because I just shared my story. I shared my story, my experience, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I'm really, really big fan of ImmunoCal and I would until today, I'm still recommending it to people, and I find it fascinating what it did for me. And there's huge amount of research on it. And now as a nutritionist, fully fledged and qualified since last March, finally, I'm now actually able to understand the processes within the body of how it actually works and how important it is for every single cell in our body and how important it is for every single human. And if one of those detoxification pathways isn't working efficiently, we're having a problem because all these toxins are going to get accumulated within the body, and that's why the system starts going wrong. And nowadays we need to protect ourselves because we are surrounded by environmental toxicity on a daily basis. We inhale it, we eat it for our food, in the water, it's everywhere. So protection is the key. Prevention is the key. And I think Immunocal is a brilliant way of protecting your health and also preventing aging, inflammatory diseases, and promote longevity, really. Yeah, so I'm really grateful for my experience, and I'm really grateful for Jeffrey for introducing me to the product because it really did make a huge change in my life. And yes, I don't know if I'm meant to be continuing. I wasn't expecting a long talk.
No, that's perfect because it pretty much summed up really how everything happened. It happened so organically. Because
I
when
didn't
you
try. It just happened.
yeah,
Yes.
I just said, look, you're going to go on this product because after your seizure, I said, and your brain fog, I said, well, guess what? Glutathione is so important in brain function. It's enormously, enormously protective of brain function, particularly when we're looking at oxidative stress within the substantia nigra within the brain, which is the part of the brain where there's a lot of dark material, which is where we make our dopamine. And this gets bombarded by free radicals and toxins is what Miriam was talking about, and how we need to prevent our brain from being oxidized or turning to rust or being killed by crap that's putting into, as she said, into our water, into our food, into the air, everything. We have to protect our bodies so much because we're exposed to it every day. And so one of the things, and it'd be very interesting, there's probably a lot of good studies out there. I haven't looked at it recently, but for glutathione and the protection of the substantia nigra for the prevention of or the mitigation of any disease, but particularly Parkinson's disease with that. Sadly, I've watched a couple of my patients develop Parkinson's disease, and I mentioned the product, and it just goes because they just don't get it. And maybe it's not because of how I come across and say it, or maybe they need to hear, as Don said, from a third party who has had that problem and has been fixed or lessened by having Immunocal. So it's really, really important that we sort of have that connection with other people, is what Don was saying, is that, Miriam may know somebody in France or in Spain or wherever, and they may go, oh, we need to have that, but we know somebody back over in the UK, and it's a very big connection. So from a business point of view, as Don says, this is just scratching the surface. And we've got the original guy here called Keith, who's got all the wisdom over the years to give us inside information about how to build a business. We could talk all about the way that the product works from a biochemical point of view, a biophysiological point of view. But in reality, people don't buy that. If they want to know it, we can do special videos to say, look, this is how this works. This is why it works. Here's the literature. There's one question that's come up as in the chat that I've got as a direct message, and I'm going to answer that before we go, which is going to be very shortly. But Miriam, thank you. Is there something that you find on an ongoing basis where glutathione is a prevalent diminished free antioxidant in most people?
Yes, yes. In fact, yesterday I was looking at a stool analysis and of a patient, a very, very, very sick patient. In fact, she's suffering from autoimmune diseases and dermatomyositis. So it's an autoimmune condition paired with a skin condition. And basically her glutathione levels were absolutely rock bottom because she had a gallbladder removed, for example, and obviously this put extra pressure on the actual liver, and the liver has to do twice as much work. I believe that glutathione is good for everything because it's part of every single cell in our body. We need it to detoxify, obviously, the toxins from our cells and to protect our liver and protect all of our organs. But most people who suffer from any kind of inflammatory condition, maybe arthritis or brain condition, even tiredness, or tiredness or brain fog is a sign of brain inflammation, which is a real big alarm signal that we must not ignore, or not being able to remember something, or not being able to focus, feeling overly tired and fatigued. So anybody who feels a little bit fatigued, not really experiencing enough energy, finding it difficult to get up in the morning, difficult with sleep, hormonal imbalances, people with menopause symptoms, generally everyone who suffers from any kind of chronic inflammatory condition. We're talking about every chronic condition because we need to, they're somehow linked with the digestive system or with the detoxification organs, because obviously if the detoxification organs don't work properly, our digestive motility, so our digestive system doesn't work properly or as efficient as it could be. That means we are reabsorbing our toxins and hormones back into our body. And Immunocal will help with that because it will support liver detoxification pathways, both, mainly pathway 2, which means the liver does work more efficiently, and therefore the digestive system will be stimulated too, because if the liver is working brilliantly, it will then activate obviously the digestive juices, the bile flow, and the digestion itself. And that means we are boosting our immune system as well, because 70% of our immune system are actually in our gut. So when you think about it, it's mind-blowing. So by just supporting the liver and obviously, through glutathione, through Immunocal, we're not just only boosting this part, we literally have an impact on the entire body through this pathway. So it's so crucial. And if you boost your digestive system, your liver, you're boosting absolutely your immune system. So if you feel that people are running low or a little bit burned out or run down or suffering from cold sores or frequent colds or flus, or even hyperactivity, people who are very hyperactive and they can't slow down, or people who suffer with mental health conditions, again, inflammation and toxicity will exacerbate those conditions, always.
I think with that, let me just interject there. I think
Sure.
what the biggest thing that we need to, as a take-home, is that in every cell there is glutathione, and unless you have a defect in your ability to spin the cycle, now we're not going to go through that because it's a little bit more of the biochemistry, but it's once you get rid of one part of the part of the puzzle and look at where we really need to look at where glutathione needs to work, there's a couple of substrates that we need. And just think that you're going to need selenium, and you're going to need something called NADPH, which is a B vitamin. So we need general nutrition to help spin the cycle to make glutathione. And I think I just wanted to make that as a clear. So there's one question. We've got David Lee is asking. He has been a computer guy for 40 years and his eyes are a little bit under functioning. And will glutathione help? And I would say 100% yes, because glutathione is very rich in the cellular matrix of the fluid in the eye, but also in maintaining the elasticity within the ligamentous tissue to basically move the lens so that you can look closer and far away. It depends on how much protection he had over the years, because it's not only the eyes, blue light, and that's why I've got these yellow glasses. And Miriam, I'm not sure where yours are. I know you've got them.
Yes, and it's
And blue light also affects our skin, because you have to think about the fact that our brain and our neural tissue is the same tissue that's making skin at the same time, neuroectoderm tissue. And so whatever we expose our skin to, we're exposing our brain to. This is why I tell people, don't wear sunglasses. Get into the morning light and climatize yourself and your skin and your eyes to light. And then get on board with taking something that is going to decrease your free radicals. And what is the best thing that we can do? Communical. Because it's going to give us 9 grams of protein every sachet that we take. So that's a protein part of our diet for our food and our protein diet. And it's going to help with so many other substances and processes within our body. So I hope that helps. Miriam, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Great. We'll have to come you back on again. Keith, thanks for being a great host. I know it's a little bit over time more than we normally do, but
well, no, that's great. And Don, really appreciate you being here as well. And there was one question that popped up in the WhatsApp group that Jeffrey, speak to if you would, because there's somebody concerned about hair loss. And I know there's a lot of that going on around the world right now and all over the world. And Immunocal will help that. And I know the question in WhatsApp was a person started taking Immunocal and was noticing hair loss. Well, I think there was a lot of other things maybe going on in their lives, right?
I'll fire that to Miriam first.
Yeah, so hair loss has multiple reasons, but obviously glutathione, as it's involved in every cell, it will definitely help. But also hair loss can be linked with stress, where again, Immunocal will help, because if we take the stress off the liver and off the cells, we reduce the stress for the body. So whenever the body experiences stress, we have a process in place that's, well, obviously we produce adrenaline and cortisol. And when we are chronically functioning on high levels of stress, this can cause obviously our hair to fall out, but also the lack of proteins. And again, Immunocal will help there, because Immunocal contains protein. So it's an isolated whey protein. So it will contribute to the levels of protein that you're consuming on a daily basis, which will promote hair loss. Which will promote hair growth, apology. Just testing if everybody's still awake.
Well, one of the things we talk about, most people, Dr. White and I were speaking earlier that, most people when they start taking Immunocal Platinum are complaining they have to go to the hairdresser more often. I have to go get my hair cut, I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
A lot of that also is a lack of B vitamins as well. And stress is the biggest thing. But it also depends on if there's any chemical stress and also light stress. Light stress is one of the biggest things we forget about. And it's the blue light, right? So it's a stress to our system. So it's again going to increase inflammatory processes, what Miriam had said. Inflammatory processes require more glutathione in order to reduce that inflammation. So you'd have to get a profile of if people have that I think they were saying it was platinum they were taking from I think from the chat. So then what you would do is stop platinum right away, go to the classic and see if there's a difference, because maybe sometimes the platinum is just a little bit too much of a push for your immune system and your cellular structures to physiologically take the enormity that product can give us in terms of being able to heighten our core level of health. And go back to the classic. And if the classic does it, same thing, then just come off it and then wait about 4 to 6 weeks and go get some tests to find out your deficiencies within your minerals in the body, and also cortisol. And I would also be looking at some other inflammatory markers. High sensitive CRP would be another one. So there's many other things that you can look up there. Miriam?
Iron, a deficiency of iron can also lead to hair loss, just to kind of conclude that. Was this what you mentioned earlier? And I wanted to mention as well, with regards to the sleep and immunocal, obviously increasing, helping, supporting sleep and reducing the free radical stress, oxidative stress that life causes us, and the blue light and the environmental stress. Obviously, it will support the sleep as well, and the sleep produces melatonin. So we need sunlight to make melatonin at night, which is another big antioxidant in the body. So if we improve our sleep with Immunocal, everything else starts improving naturally. But there was something else you wanted to ask. Sorry, just.
Well, KJ wanted to add a question, but I don't know what they're speaking of. So anyway, I don't know, KJ, I gave you the ability to unmute if you want to ask, or you can reach out to Dr. Jeffrey maybe, or Miriam.
Can I interject something at this point?
Yeah, Don.
Thank you so much, Miriam, and it's so good to see you again.
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
It's fabulous. Thanks. Congratulations on everything you've done.
Thank you so much. So much to learn.
Yeah, as Jeffrey says, always be learning. But you were mentioning mental health at one point, and it just struck me. Here we are on this call, and those of us who are not talking either have a smile on our face or have a smile inside our bodies. We are happy. We are happy. We're taking this product, and the more we share it with people, the happier we'll be. You know, this is true. And you feel good when you're letting people know. And it doesn't matter what their reaction is, right? What's important is that we go out and take this story to people. Like you were mentioning how you just couldn't stop talking to everybody about what had happened to you. I bet you felt great when you were doing that, right? Yeah. So
you talking to me? Oh.
No, by spreading good news.
Oh, it was easy. It was such an easy promotion because it was showing. I felt incredible. And I'm still raving about the first experience. It's amazing. It was phenomenal.
They pick up that energy. They pick up that vibe. They pick that up. You know, one thing I want, just on a slightly different topic. I apologize if I'm jumping across the nutritional aspect of things here. Is what we talked about earlier on, the tremendous value that we all bring to everybody else. We're going to have another call in 14 days' time. Wouldn't it be a great idea for each of us to have a personal goal, to have someone that we've spoken to in the next 14 days come and listen to what we're sharing? That will be mind expanding for them. That'll be a tremendous information resource for whoever the speakers are. So don't forget that.
I'm hoping to get my friend Anna, who's a dentist, a holistic dentist, and she's also a nutritionist.
Okay, I got to interrupt, guys. There's a question in the chat. Okay, and these are things that just are so wonderful to be able to answer. Dr. Luc Montagnier, to co-discover the HIV virus. Yep. In the book on neurodegenerative disease, cancer, and AIDS, there's an entire chapter on Immunocal.
Yeah.
One of the very early studies, there was what at Immunotech had, there was what was known as I may have to cut this out of the recording. Okay. There was
it's not our remit to actually give that advice just for insurance and protectiveness. But
I have to edit this before I let it go out.
Immunocal is it's a food, and you're telling somebody to eat food, and it happens to be in the process of a whey protein that's specially been put together. So you're telling them to eat food that we're going to improve their health, and telling them to do any drugs.
Okay. And then so can they reach out to Keith at keithhooper.com to find out? Because I know you said the platinum version would be best for their particular symptoms. But I have another situation where I won't take up the call time, but that relates to the brain fog that you guys mentioned, menopause, maybe snoring and high blood pressure. Like, because there's different products and I want to be able to communicate, and I'll have them jump on the call in 14 days as well. Have
them here, let them ask the questions, and Jeffrey will take it off.
Yeah, the other thing with that is you have to, instead of just listing symptoms, you have to look at what's driving the symptom, because you have to address what's driving the symptom first and then you're going to get rid of the symptom. So if they've got high blood pressure, there's a lot of herbs you can use as well. But if it's something where they've got a familial heritage of high blood pressure, then that's a different story. You're going to have to look at SNPs and some other blood tests and lab tests to find out if they're missing some things in their physiology. So it's not just, oh,
Okay.
we'll give you this. So there's a lot more to it than what you think. But at the same time, it never hurts to say, well, why don't you just try this product because it's a food and it's going to raise your glutathione levels. And glutathione is our master antioxidant. And this is how great it does for lots of different physiological things. There's over 180,000 trials and papers on glutathione. Do your research. Go to PubMed. Pub as in pub and med, medical. And then look up glutathione and the condition that you wish to address, and then do your research and you do your due diligence, because the better that you can get informed, the greater that you can carry the message of how easy it is for this product to say, all we're doing is raising glutathione. And when we're raising glutathione, we're going to help people. And Miriam, she knows this. Dawn, we know this. Everybody on this call knows this. But it's just whether people have ears that are blocked by these new headphones that they've got.
Well, hey, Don, amazing. Good to have you here, my friend. Really good to have you share that wisdom with everybody. Once again, you guys are all really nice people. Me, not quite so much. You got to remember what I tell everybody. Remember this. Immunical is the most unique nutritional product on the planet.
Yeah.
It only works on smart people, the people that are smart enough to take it. Have a blessed day, everybody. We appreciate you all. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks,
Bye.
Marianne. Thanks,
so
Don.
much.
Thanks, Keith.
See you
All the
soon.
best.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.